And welcome to Crimecast. We had a little problem there at the beginning there with our video that our intro wanted to play again. But welcome to our first edition of Crimecast. Now this is a podcast, informational podcast and live stream regarding Crime Stoppers and Crime Stoppers related information. Now this is put together by Crime Stoppers of El Paso, and being our very first episode, we wanted to go ahead and make sure that we got information to you about the history of the program. And so it has a very rich history that actually started in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1976, started here in El Paso, Texas in 1978, where our program became the first program in the state of Texas, first official Crime Stoppers in the state of Texas, and we're going to talk about all of that history that Crime Stoppers has. While we hope you stay for the full program, we understand that you may not be able to do so, but there's some very important information that we want to make sure that we get out from the top of the program, and that is that Crime Stoppers is not part of the police department or any law enforcement agency. Now, despite the fact that I am part of the police department, I act as a liaison between the program, which is a nonprofit, a 501c3 program, and the other law enforcement agencies. So it is very important to remember how Crime Stoppers works. And as I was saying, it started back in Albuquerque, New Mexico in 1976. And so both the Texas program here in El Paso and the New Mexico program helped start many of the other programs. And soon after, there was a organization formed, which was Crime Stoppers USA, which was an organization to assist all Crime Stoppers programs with best practices and even legal counsel as far as the operations that it does. So one of the important things to also start, I think, gives everyone a very good overview of how Crime Stoppers work and what Crime Stoppers is about, is Crime Stoppers USA put together a nice video production that explains this. And so if you keep there with your screens, you'll go ahead and see this great production done by Crime Stoppers USA on how Crime Stoppers works.
America is home to many people from many countries and many cultures. And one thing most share is the desire to make America safer and more secure. Most Americans want our communities to be free of crime and criminal activity. Most Americans are prepared to join together to get crime out of the areas where we live and work. Anonymous tips to Crime Stoppers programs across the United States have prevented countless crimes and led to over 600,000 arrests since the program's creation in 1976. That's an average of over 40 arrests per day. And of those, 95% of those arrests lead to convictions. Crime Stopper USA programs are in communities across the United States and its territories. Through the program, citizens are encouraged to share information about potential and unsolved crimes, and they can do so anonymously. In return, the tipster becomes eligible for a reward for up to $1,000 if the information leads to an arrest. To date, Crime Stoppers USA programs have paid out over $100 million in rewards. The best part, the service is free to law enforcement. Crime Stoppers USA and its programs are funded by private, public, and corporate donations. Crime Stoppers is a proven and streamlined system. Crime Stoppers begins with community, media, and law enforcement working together to prevent and solve crime. The community is the eyes and ears of law enforcement. Television, radio, billboards, and the newspapers broadcast the information. Individuals are encouraged to report information using a system designed to protect their anonymity and be as user-friendly as possible. Information can be sent to Crime Stoppers using a toll-free number, text, online web form, or mobile phone application. Information is then received by a 24-hour call center which assigns a private code to the tipster, which ensures complete anonymity. The tips are then sent to the appropriate law enforcement agency. If the tip leads to an arrest, the tipster is then eligible for a reward of up to $1,000. Crime Stoppers USA programs are truly making a difference. Crime Stoppers is an organization for anyone who may be uncomfortable about contacting law enforcement to tell them about crime details or potential criminal activity. Crime Stoppers is a service used by hundreds of thousands of Americans each year. Without needing to provide your name or address, you can tell Crime Stoppers crime details, which will be passed directly to law enforcement for investigation. This is because Crime Stoppers is much more interested in your information than your identity. Most importantly, it allows everyone across the United States to take an active role in making their communities safer.
And welcome back. We hope you enjoyed that information there about Crime Stoppers USA and how Crime Stoppers works. So again, Crime Stoppers is a community program that works with law enforcement, it works with the community, and it works with the media to try to bring in information on cases and be able to generate leads. Now, when we talk about the history, as we mentioned, it all began in Albuquerque back in 1976. And many times we have talked about the history, and actually the name of our episode today, that it started with a murder. There's a little more to that. And what we mean by that is that actually the Crime Stoppers program did begin in 1976. But it actually began in the early parts of '76. So right about April or so of 1976, you started actually having some articles that were talking about this new TIP initiative plan that was on the works there by the police department in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And as you can see a little bit about that, they were starting to try to go ahead and raise funds to be able to pay rewards. And what happens many times in these type of programs is the fact that when you have information on an ability to be able to give people information on how to be able to anonymously provide information on crimes, that can actually help generate leads. Many times individuals are not feeling sure that they can actually go ahead and provide information because they're afraid of what actually may happen there to them. So that many times they might be thinking that it might be something where somebody's going to find out who it is that actually called. And so that is what Crime Stoppers does. And so as we were mentioning in those first articles there, it is something where the program is actually giving the individual the opportunity to be able to provide information anonymously and qualify for a reward. From the information that you saw on those articles, which you can research there, looking at the Albuquerque back in 1976, was that it was limited to a certain type of crime. So the original program, when it was starting out, was specific to homicides, sexual assaults, aggravated assaults, and burglaries, both residential and business burglaries. And when we talk about one of the things that ended up happening in the program that really set the program to how we know it today was a murder that actually took place back in July 24th of 1976. And on this was a robbery that had taken place at a gasoline station called Ufilm on Copper in Wyoming in the northeast part of Albuquerque that resulted in the murder of 20-year-old Michael Carmen. And that's Michael Carmen there. Now, he was actually had graduated from high school there. He had worked as a security guard prior to taking that job there at the gasoline station, and was interested in law enforcement. One of the interesting stories about Michael Carmen was that he was actually waiting to be part of the New Mexico State Police Force, and so when actually he was murdered, he was actually waiting to hear back from Santa Fe to see if he could actually start the academy there in Santa Fe and be a law enforcement officer. And so with this murder, what happened in this case, and it takes us into a little bit of how we know Crime Stoppers now, is that Greg McAleese, who was involved in the initial starts of the Crime Stoppers program as well and continued through his whole life, and he's still with us, being involved in Crime Stoppers programs, came up with the idea of trying to do a reenactment. And so that idea actually is what led to how we know Crime Stoppers now with the creation of a Crime of the Week. Our friends over in Windsor and Essex County Crime Stoppers, now that's over in Canada, were able to do a recreation of that first original Crime of the Week. And so we thought, talking about the history, it was really important to be able to talk about that and to be able to look at this original Crime of the Week. So we thank, of course, our friends over at Windsor and Essex County for allowing us the use of being able to do this, use their Crime of the Week here. And so here we go as we take a look at the original first Crime of the Week as recreated by Windsor and Essex County Crime Stoppers.
Stop by again. Thank you.
You know what this is and you know what I want. Open the register. Epic.
And as you saw on that first Crime of the Week, it was really important, the idea of it, on how to be able to generate leads by trying to recreate and jog people's memories of what actually ended up happening in the crime. So that was the original idea behind the Crime of the Week and behind doing the reenactment. Now, we had the opportunity, and that's also from our friends there in Canada, that were able to interview Greg McAleese, who, of course, the founder of Crime Stoppers USA and the original founder of Crime Stoppers there in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And so we can hear from him as far as the idea of the reenactment back in 1976, specifically related to the murder of Michael Carmen. And so here we go as Greg McAleese tells us this story.
Hi, I'm Greg McAleese, and I'm the founder of Crime Stoppers. I was a violent crimes detective with the Albuquerque Police Department. Michael died about 4 hours later in the emergency room without being able to tell us who his assailants were. But after almost 2 months of investigation, we were no closer to solving that case than we were the very first night. And really out of desperation, I approached the local television station and I asked them if they would be willing to put a reenactment of the crime on their local newscast. My thinking here was that because of the fact that this was a heavily traveled street and we had a high probability of a witness, that possibly the reenactment might be able to trigger their memory. The television station we selected was KOAT-TV, which was the #1 station on the market, and they immediately agreed to not only do the reenactment, film it, but also to put it on their 10 o'clock newscast. And so on September 8th of 1976, the reenactment went on the air. We didn't know what to expect. Hi, I'm Greg McAleese, and I'm the founder of Crime Stoppers. I was a violent crimes detective with the Albuquerque Police Department. Michael died about 4 hours later in the emergency room without being able to tell us who his assailants were. But after almost 2 months of investigation, we were no closer to solving that case than we were the very first night. And really, out of desperation, I approached the local television station and I asked them if they would be willing to put a reenactment of the crime on their local newscast. My thinking here was that because of the fact that this was a heavily traveled street and we had a high probability of a witness, that possibly the reenactment might be able to trigger their memory. The television station we selected was KOAT-TV, which was the #1 station on the market, and they immediately agreed to not only do the reenactment, film it, but also to put it on their 10 o'clock newscast. And so on September 8th of 1976, the reenactment went on the air. We didn't know what to expect.
And welcome back. And we had a little bit of technical difficulties there. We know you heard from Greg McAleese twice, which of course he had a lot of important information. But as he said, he didn't know what was going to happen once they did that reenactment. But it was, again, working with partnership there with the community. And so it's working in partnership there with the community, and we were having a little bit of trouble there with our microphone. But again, didn't know really what was going to happen once they created that first crime of the week. What did end up happening is that they were able to generate some information that eventually did lead to finding 2 individuals that were responsible for that murder. And as a matter of fact, on that very first Crime Stoppers case there with Michael Carmen, the case actually didn't get solved for more than a year. While there was other cases that were also featured by Crime Stoppers of Albuquerque that did generate leads and were solved, there was information that had come into Crime Stoppers, but there wasn't enough on it to be able to identify the individuals. So some part of the information that they had from when they first featured this crime of the week was that there was a vehicle similar to a Dodge Challenger or a Barracuda that was seen by the gas pumps and that left the area. Through the investigation, they were eventually able to identify 2 individuals, and those individuals ended up being charged in Carmen's murder almost a year and 3 months after the murder had taken place. So again, Crime Stoppers, because a tip comes in does not mean that that is the probable cause for law enforcement to be able to go and generate an arrest. So there's still a lot of investigative work that law enforcement has to do once that tip comes in. But those leads, those tips, those cases would not be solved if it wasn't for that information that is coming forward through the community, and of course with that guarantee that by calling Crime Stoppers, that person is going to be completely anonymous. As many good things that come around, people of course hear about a great program and start looking and seeing maybe how they can do something similar here in our community. And you're looking there at the picture there of Leo Samaniego. And Leo Samaniego was a longtime sheriff in El Paso County. And prior to that, he was an inspector with the El Paso Police Department. Now, inspector is a position that is now known as a deputy chief of police or assistant chief here in our agency. And so Leo Samaniego had heard about the successes that Albuquerque had and went and sent 2 people to see what the viability is of having such a program in our community. And so the officers from the El Paso Police Department that met with Greg McAleese and the Albuquerque Police Department brought forth a lot of great information. And in 1978, our program actually was getting underway. In this article here, you can actually see, that's a picture of Greg McAleese there back in his youth, and that is a article when they came down here and were getting ready to go ahead and start the program. But one of the big parts of the article is it's talking about the successes that Crime Stoppers had had. So mind you, this is in 1978 when it came to El Paso. The program had started in 76, so it's talking about all the successes that they've had, that they had a reduction in felony type offenses there in Albuquerque with the help of the Crime Stoppers program. And as you see on this article here, also on the El Paso Times, you start seeing that Crime Stoppers is now coming here to the city, to El Paso. And we're going to talk a little bit more about those initial starts of when Crime Stoppers first came here to El Paso, and how the members of the community formed this great board and this successful program that is still going strong today. But before we do that, we do need your help with a murder. And so this is a case that is one of our crime of the weeks on a murder that happened earlier this year. Please watch, and if you have any information on this, you can, of course, remain anonymous by calling Crime Stoppers. In this Crime of the Week, Crime Stoppers in the El Paso Police Department are asking for help from the community and trying to find those responsible for a fatal shooting in central El Paso.
On Sunday, January 19th at 1:59 a.m., El Paso police officers responded to a local hospital after 19-year-old Anthony Rodriguez was taken in by friends with a gunshot wound to the upper torso. Rodriguez did not survive, and detectives found that the incident had occurred at Pershing and Gateway South at approximately 1:25 a.m. Rodriguez, along with 3 other friends, were driving in a dark-colored Chrysler 300 when they became involved in a confrontation with occupants from another vehicle. During that confrontation, shots were fired, and Rodriguez was critically wounded.
Anyone with any information on those involved in the murder of Anthony Rodriguez should call Crime Stoppers of El Paso at 566-8477. That's 566-TIPS. And as you saw there, our Crime of the Week. And one of the changes that have happened throughout the years, and a lot of this actually has to do with technology. It is one of the questions that we do have that come from time to time. And as I am talking about questions, of course, on this live stream, you will be able to write in questions. I know this is our first one, so we're trying to get everybody still used to it, and we're, of course, working out the bugs on our program as well. But you can actually go to our website, cselpaso.org. There you will find a link where you can contact us, and you can definitely send us an email. Any questions that you have about the program, maybe something that you'd like to hear more about. So this is going to be something that is going to be featured at least once a month, our Crime Cast here by Crime Stoppers of El Paso. And we definitely look forward to hearing from you. We want to make sure that we're able to give you an inside look as to how Crime Stoppers works. This is your program. It's a community program. We work with all of the law enforcement, and of course with our Crime Stoppers board is made up of members of the community. And so it is very important for for us to have your support, and we want to make sure that we give you the information so you know about your program and how this program does work. So again, cselpaso.org, you can log on there and be able to ask any questions that you may have. But as we were talking about the Crime of the Week. We were talking about how that murder of Michael Carmen led to that first reenactment that became known as the Crime of the Week, and programs not only in Albuquerque, not only here in El Paso, but across the nation and now the world. We talked about Canada. And there are programs not only in Canada, but across many countries across the world. So Crime Stoppers has really grown in the nearly 50 years of its existence. And so back, of course, when we take a look at 1976, of course, there wasn't really security cameras that we have nowadays. There wasn't really much out there that could record some of these crimes that take place. And so one of the things that was necessary to try to jog people's memories is based on witness information, based on information that investigators had, is try to create a reenactment, and with hopes that that reenactment would jog people's memories in trying to solve the case and jarring people's memories, and people would come forward because they remember something, or something from that reenactment sparked something that they saw, and they would call the Crime Stoppers. Well, as technology has gotten better throughout the years, of course, most stores and now even residences have security video. There's Ring cameras, there's a variety of different providers, and there's a variety of cameras where it's actually now become very accessible. And so what has changed in our Crime of the Week, at least here in El Paso that we do, while we don't really typically do a reenactment, we actually take many times surveillance photos and actual footage from the crimes that were recorded by security cameras, in hopes of trying to identify those individuals that were captured on video, or parts that were captured on video, and trying to identify these individuals. Now, that is not always the case, and we do still occasionally do a reenactment, but that is one of the reasons that we went away from the reenactments here in our Crime of the Week. One other important thing to also bring up is in our format, one of the things that we did, because being right on the border, we actually provide the Crime of the Week both in English and Spanish to our community. One of the other things that we've done here in El Paso is that we give the media many of the elements of the video, so they can actually make their own stories. So while originally, when the Crime of the Week started back in Albuquerque, and when it started here in El Paso, there was an exclusivity with one particular television station, as those stations were actually doing the production for the Crime Stoppers program, and so it was usually featured in one particular station. With the ability for us to be able to do that in-house, and being able to bring that, we're able to actually give those elements to all of the media, with hopes of being able to reach more people and trying to get leads on those cases that need to be solved. So it is definitely a lot of great information that we've been talking about. There's a lot more that we want to get to, specifically related to Crime Stoppers of El Paso, as we were giving you that general history of how everything started, and of course this being our very first crime cast that we're doing for you. But we are getting close to wrapping up the program, but we do have one more Crime of the Week that we'd like to play for you, and this is the current Crime of the Week. Also involves another murder. This actually is a murder that took place in November, and we need your help on this. This happened at an apartment complex here in El Paso back in November. Please watch and see if you can help us in solving this case. In this Crime of the Week, Crime Stoppers in the El Paso Police Department is asking for help from the community and trying to find those responsible for a murder at an East El Paso apartment complex.
On Sunday, November 17, 2024, at 4:06 a.m., residents at the Vista Sierra apartment complex at 6813 Belrose called police after hearing what sounded to be an argument and then gunshots. When the officers arrived, they found 26-year-old Jerome Douglas Harper had been fatally shot. Witnesses reported seeing a silver-colored SUV leaving the area immediately after the shooting. Investigators know someone has information as to who was involved in Harper's murder.
Anyone with any information on this murder should call Crime Stoppers of El Paso at 566-8477. That's 566-TIPS. And while many of the cases that we do feature here on our Crime of the Week are from the El Paso Police Department, Crime Stoppers does work with all law enforcement agencies. So we do feature cases from the El Paso County Sheriff's Office, from all our local law enforcement agencies, and our state and federal partners as well. One of the important things also to bring up again is that Crime Stoppers does not just work on information regarding those crimes that are featured on our Crime of the Week, or another feature, a couple of other features that we have here in El Paso, which is our Most Wanted Fugitives, and also another social media feature that we call, of course, some of our different crime elements that we look for on there. So we have a variety of different features where we're getting information, but anybody that has any information on any crime can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 566-8477. That's 566-TIPS. You can also download the P3 app via the Apple and Google app stores, and you can have that on your phone and submit a tip that way. And you can also actually just go to our website, cselpaso.org. There is a link where you can submit a tip and be able to submit information. Technology has definitely advanced and improved from the beginnings that we had back in the early or in the mid-70s into the Crime Stoppers program. We'd like to thank you for your time, and thank you for I know we had a couple of challenges there with technology today, but we appreciate all of your support. We look forward to bringing you more information. We're going to have a second part to this podcast where we're going to talk more specifically about Crime Stoppers of El Paso, more in particular. And so we hope you definitely stay tuned for that. That'll be coming up here within a week. And then after that, we will be having our monthly podcast and information. But we need your help. Send us what you'd like to hear about, and we'll have more information for you. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. Thank you.